we saw what Harold Perkins did as a freshman at LSU, and we want to know who's next. Let's bring on Shea Dixon from the Bengal Tigers. Shea, Brian Kelly has LSU ranked inside the top 10 in recruiting heading into the home stretch of the 2024 class. LSU has 24 commitments with a little room for more. Shea, I want to get your opinion on impact to LSU commitments. But first, LSU fans, do me a favor. Hit like and subscribe to the On3 Recruits channel. This is your spot for On3 recruiting year-round. It doesn't stop. We have the latest LSU recruiting development. So do me a favor, hit that subscribe button. All right, Shea, which LSU commitment has the best chance to make an early impact when he arrives in Baton Rouge next year?
You know, I'm going to play a combination of a high ranking, but also need. And I think it might be DeSean McBride coming out of Denham Springs. He's a top 100 player on 3. He skyrocketed up the On 3 rankings this offseason before his senior year to become right on the verge of a top 5 safety. I get the feeling with a big senior season, he'll finish as a top 5 safety. Then I look at LSU's defensive back room. Yes, they need corners, but they took a lot of transfer corners. They have some younger guys on roster. At safety, Greg Brooks, a team captain, Major Burns, a veteran from the Baton Rouge area, and then Andre Sam, who's in his 7th year of college football. All veterans, all guys who could well be on their way out. I think it's one of those things we look next year at LSU's roster, and they're turning to some young guys at safety. For me, DeSean McBride leads the way there. He set Denham Springs' interception record as a junior. He had a great offseason in track and field. He looked awesome in 7-on-7, looked great at LSU's camp. I think he has a big senior season. Won't surprise me if he's one of LSU's 2 or 3 highest rated signees by the time signing day comes.
Yeah, I know LSU fans are fired up about him, and really the entire class. I mean, they have 24 commitments right now. So what, in your opinion, is still LSU's biggest remaining need left to fill?
It's defensive line. And right now, look, Dominic McKinley obviously is announcing his decision on really right before his senior season gets rolling in the month of September. LSU's playing the long game there. They're hoping that by signing day, they could get a guy like that in the boat. Regardless, they need interior defensive linemen. They've got a couple of guys committed, but I think that we're going to see some senior offers go out or guys get offered as seniors. We see it happen every single cycle. I think that this year they're really looking for defensive linemen, not just in Louisiana, but around the country, who are kind of emerging later in their high school careers. If they can jump in the mix and really steal a guy at this stage who could end up being a pretty big time player at the college level and just didn't surface onto the recruiting scene until their senior season, that would bail them out of what is kind of a tough spot to be in, where they are in need of defensive linemen and they have not struck gold quite yet with those really big names, and certainly no 5 stars.
Yeah, still a couple needs still left on the board. LSU currently sits number 8 as we're about to start the season. We're only 4 months from signing day. So what do you think is LSU's shot at finishing with a top 5 class? Is that doable for LSU this cycle?
It's doable. It's tough. I think one key to LSU finishing top 5 in the recruiting rankings is when both Louisiana produces 5 stars and then you get some from outside the state. Look at a year ago, Josh. Brian Kelly, in his first full year on the recruiting trail, had the number 5 class. So they had a top 5 class. Well, how'd they get there? Yes, they locked down the state of Louisiana in a way compared to, or I should say they didn't lock down the state of Louisiana, but they kept the top guys home. Zaylon's Hurd was a 5-star. Shelton Sampson flirted with 5-star territory. And then they went out and got a 5-star in Deshaun Womack. They got a handful of other top 100 guys from outside the state. The rankings are far from finalized, so we could see a lot of LSU commits move up in the rankings. That obviously helps the overall team ranking. But top 5 for me would mean that they would need to reel in a couple of 5 stars. And they've been out there, Josh. I mean, Don McKinley, yes, here in Louisiana, but they were in it for Colin Simmons till the end. They're recruiting a guy like Terry Bussey out of Texas. So there are still some 5-star targets, but I think that they would have to reel a couple in for it to be a top 5 class. Top 10, I feel good about.
Okay. LSU has a big season on the field this year. There could be some 5-star flips down the road. We'll just have to wait and see. Now, you did allude to this earlier. You said that LSU has locked down the state of Louisiana. Last year in Brian Kelly's, well, it was an abbreviated cycle. He didn't have the entire cycle to recruit, but they missed on 6 of the top 10 players in the state of Louisiana. This year already, they have got 8 commits out of the top 10 players in the state of Louisiana. What's changed from last year to this year for LSU to be so successful with in-state recruiting?
Well, one, they've put a big emphasis on in-state recruiting, and really, I think it's a combination of 2 things. You have to remember, before Brian Kelly got here, yes, they won a national championship in 2019. Well, in 2020, in the COVID year, they went 5-5. The following season, they went 6-7. So back-to-back 500 seasons, and the first losing season for LSU since 1999. That set them back. So by the time Brian Kelly and that staff took over, a lot of the kids, Arch Manning, the number 1 player in the state, was never coming to LSU. But a lot of those other kids were in the mix to go to LSU, and they had just warmed up to other schools. And for Kelly and this staff to be able to counter that a year later in this current cycle by doing just what you said, 8 of the top 10 guys in the state right now are committed to LSU, and a handful beyond that. I've said this a lot over the years. One key recipe for LSU is get more than 80% of the guys you offer in Louisiana. You're never going to get everybody because other schools, Texas A&M, Bama has always been very present in Louisiana, are going to get in and recruit the state, and a guy is going to end up leaving or 2. But if you're offering 15 guys, Josh, and you're signing 12 of them, that's a massive hit rate in a state that year over year is probably per capita with the highest hit rate of future NFL players and high-level blue-chip players here in Louisiana. So that's the built-in recruiting advantage, right? There is no other school in Louisiana that's coming in and taking your guys that LSU wants. So if you're able to lock up double-digit guys in Louisiana each year, that's a very passing grade for me, and that's going to put you firmly in the conversation for a top 10 class. Then you get those out-of-state guys that can make it a top 5 class. That's kind of where I sit. I think they've done a really good job prioritizing Louisiana, not waiting on offers, getting guys in the boat in the spring, even before summer camp. That paid off for them in a big way this offseason.
That's the formula. There you have it. LSU fans, hit that subscribe button. We're going to have Shea Dixon on this channel all the time. You guys aren't going to want to miss any of it. Hit that subscribe button for me. Shea, thanks for stopping by, dropping some LSU recruiting info.
Of course, looking forward to hanging out more.